I'm picturing it.
You should. Yeah, I picture it all the time.
Oh.
Right, welcome to it. That's like aggressive clap, David. Welcome to
Nathan's ready.
welcome to another episode of Rec Talk. We're into season 2 now, well established into season 2.
Yeah.
And we've got the original members of WHAM, Jack, Zach, and Ben. How you guys doing?
Very good. Thanks for having us.
I was about to say, don't go breaking my heart, but
That's not.
That's
That's
not
not.
It's okay. We were supposed to wake you up before you go. Guys.
Hey!
Last Christmas.
Yeah,
well done.
Good contribution. Well done.
Yeah.
Right, so while we're on the subject, let's talk about the WHAM thing. Right, is that something that you guys decided was going to be like big George Michael fans wanted to go for
we
it?
like the other guy, don't we?
Who's the other guy?
Anthony Ridgely.
Well, someone's been watching the documentary, haven't they?
Andrew,
I like
actually,
him.
isn't it?
Andrew Ridgely.
Oh,
well
he's
done.
testing you.
He's done his fucking research on that, man. He's like, oh,
Can I ask you a question?
Wham jokes.
Go on.
Pepsi or Shirley?
Pepsi.
Pepsi or Coke?
Pepsi.
That's the two girls. Yeah, Pepsi.
Pepsi.
Yeah,
Pepsi and Shirley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So WHAM.
What's
Wham.
What's that?
That's the two girls. WHAM's four
Wham's
person
four.
band.
I
Was
don't
it?
George
know.
Michael.
I
Andrew
thought
Ridgely,
Wham was
Pepsi,
a two-person band.
Two
And
guys,
it was
they got
just George
Pepsi
Michael.
and
Shows
Shirley.
how much we really know about
And
WHAM.
Shirley
Yeah.
is the wife of Steve
Phil
Martin.
Mitchell from.
Very close. Steve Martin was in EastEnders. No.
No, that
Steve
was Martin Kemp.
Martin Kemp, who played Steve Never mind. You know
Wow.
what?
Yeah. Wow.
So it comes full circle, doesn't it?
It does,
You don't
it does.
expect it to,
That's
but it
So
does.
what Wham stands for? We have a meeting, right?
It
Yeah.
does.
Yeah. Tell us what like, the origin story of that, because I like that one.
Yeah. So when I
Let's
started,
swiftly move away from this.
yeah.
Yeah.
So when I started the business, it was very, very, very lean. Like no money at all. Just me in my bedroom, crying baby in the background, mobile phone in my hand.
Were you the crying baby?
I was the crying baby. Shit, how am I going to pay for the crying baby? And I was actually thinking, what's the best business name I could come up with that would get me past the gatekeeper? Didn't have any of the fancy tech or data or really anything, but just knew I'd have to get through loads of gatekeepers. And you think the call is probably going to get answered by someone who quickly says, what's it about or who is it?
Yeah.
And I thought, what's going to get me there? The first name idea I had was, I'd call it Thompson and Thompson, so I sounded like a law firm. Then I thought I might sound like a recruitment agency, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Maybe.
No, those guys are
Or a local directory.
Or a local directory, exactly.
Or travel agents.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But if I said we have a meeting, they'd put me through thinking it was someone who had a meeting. And then even if the guy on the other end was pissed off at me and said, you said we have a meeting. No.
Yeah, I
the
did.
company name
Yeah, I
is
did.
we have a meeting.
Yeah, brilliant, yeah.
Exactly.
In response to what business I'm calling from. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's where it came from. And then...
Took advantage of like the idiocy of certain gatekeepers, didn't you?
Exactly. Or
How
the...
can I take advantage of dumb people?
Yeah.
That was your thought.
That was my
wasn't
thought.
Yeah.
I thought, these fucking idiots. How can I...
Let me through, you idiot.
Exactly. But people's assumption would get you anywhere. And it worked. And then internally, WHAM started getting thrown around. When you came on board, it was like we could call it WHAM. And that's the thing that's carried us through. But we have a meeting still gets used to get us through gatekeepers to this
No, I
day.
like it. Yeah, that makes sense.
We're going to use that. I'm just going to be like, yeah, sure, we have a meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're freelancers.
But it's funny, isn't it? Because if you think about a lot of the companies we deal with who struggle to get past gatekeepers,
Yeah.
when you look at what the company name is, IT Solutions or something.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I know what the problem is straight away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're basically just identifying yourself as exactly what you do. And it's the whole kind of like, hey, yeah, it's Sean from like insert sales business here.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to see if I can get some time with your sales director or the person responsible for this. Like, the whole thing stinks of just like desperate sales, and it doesn't work. Whereas I think with what you guys do, some of the LinkedIn Live stuff that I've seen with kind of getting past gatekeepers, all that sort of stuff, it is like stepping away from the Benjamin Dennehy stuff of pattern disruption, but you have got your own way of disrupting pattern, right?
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, the pattern disruption is not exclusively Benjamin's idea, is it? This is the thing. Whereas when we spoke about this off camera, right? There's a lot more now of sales calls happening of the, can I have 30 seconds, or do you want to hang up?
28 seconds.
28 seconds, can I have hang up? Or this is a sales call. But the psychology works, right?
I did a post the other day about pattern interrupts. I think what's been misunderstood is that it only goes at the start. Pattern interrupt can go anywhere.
Yeah.
So if you feel like someone's losing interest, you just disrupt the usual pattern.
Scream down the phone really loud.
Scream down the phone really loud. But we've been on discovery.
Bring them back into the room.
We've been on discovery calls, haven't we, where I can see someone drifting, and I'll just suddenly go, anyway, how tall are you? And they go, what? How tall are you? I can't tell how tall you are if we were on a Zoom call. I'm 6 foot. Oh, right. And then you carry on, but you can see him thinking, Or how many
What is
books
that
have you read?
What the fuck is wrong with this
I'll
guy?
be saying, I've got a current supplier in place already. All right, if you had to write a song about them, what would you call it? I'm like, what? But it just gets them back. Like, right, I'm back in the conversation again. So they can go anywhere. But in terms of like different pattern interrupts, there's loads that we use, isn't there?
There's loads. I think that the whole goal of the pattern interrupt is just to break the norm, and the norm is, "Hi, it's Jack calling from ABC Limited. How are you today?" And when people hear that, they go, "Oh my god, another boring sales call. Get me off. I don't want to take it. I don't want to get roped into this. Next thing you know, I'm going to be talking for 15 minutes about something boring." So it's like, how do you sound different? And there's certain elements to that. It's like permission based and honest, humour, upfront contract, all of those different things. That's an amalgamation. You can create your own. Be creative with it, and I think that's where
It's getting around the personal barrier, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because the minute they
exactly.
hear something that they're aware or they've had an experience of, and they're like, "Oh fuck, this is a sales call." In this scenario, their personal barrier goes up, and then it's like, right, now you can either carry on in your patter and not get anywhere because it's just going to keep bouncing off.
Yeah, just go through
that
the motions,
barrier,
basically, yeah.
Or figure out a way to get around, under, or over that barrier. And
So Ben, you're not actually actively involved in this sales type of stuff, though, are you? So are you the receiver of a lot of the sales calls then?
I don't actually get that many. I get a lot of emails that are usually trying to sell me stuff, but certainly not on the front end.
No one does it though, do they? No one. I never get.
I just
sales
get
calls.
a lot of generic emails rather than any phone calls, really. Yeah, it's
But
very
generic, is
rare.
this like automated crap that comes from kind of different types of systems, or is it just like, hey Ben, I noticed that you're a insert job title, and sometimes it will say insert job title.
Oh yeah, those are the best. Those are the ones to reply to.
Nitin had
I
one
love
that
mine.
that was fucking brilliant a couple of weeks back, and it was hi, insert first name, ... Only
anyway,
joking.
only joking.
Oh,
Yeah.
very
It's
good.
good. I've seen that one, but that gets used a lot now. But like,
But it was the first time I'd received it, so I was like,
so you're
I like that. I'm still not going to deal with
No.
it because you're emailing me, and like if you want to sell me something, my phone number's on my LinkedIn profile. Like, pick up the phone to me.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's
you'll
the
get
issue,
through,
isn't
and
it?
I'll tell you within 10 seconds if I'm looking at a new telecoms provider or whatever, right? But
you spend 15 minutes, 20 minutes, you craft the perfect email, right? And like I'm talking like amazing, like personalization, it's funny, you make loads of puns and you really put this. If what you're trying to solve, I don't have that problem, instantly I'm going to go blah, 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 computers, no, I've got them, bang. That's 20 mintes of your time go out the way. Like that's why we like say like pick up the phone, because it's, do you get any good like emails where you've been like, I'm into that?
I don't can reply to one.
Ever?
No.
Fucking, they must be
Wonder what
dog
you
shit
do.
emails.
I don't usually get
well,
suckered
wait till
in
the AI
usually,
ones start coming in. Yeah,
Yeah,
like, hi
yeah.
Ben, I noticed you're an operations director. I too have operations. We have something in common now. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no,
I really don't like the personalisation either. I know people fucking
it's
love
creepy,
it.
isn't it?
Well, it's creepy, and I think like, do people think that I'm just such an egomaniac that like I spotted you went to X high school and did X university course? That's amazing. Here's the connection I've got to that. Like, am I that easy
But
to
the
win?
thing is,
friends?
but it's
some
also
people- some
so obvious. I imagine 15 years ago, maybe if someone
Yeah,
opened
yeah.
an email that had your name in it, you'd be like, they've
Well,
they manually writing me an email. Now it's like, well, it's
I've set up an
obvious. what it
automation on
is.
my
It's-
LinkedIn, and that LinkedIn automation is basically like, hey, I've used an AI tool to get to you because your job title is this, and it says that you've been working here, and I'm recruiting for this. So, has my AI got it totally wrong? And in which case, I'm sorry, but tell me where it's gone wrong so I can fix it. Or is this something you might be interested in having a chat about?
That's good.
I like that.
And every single
But
time,
that's the pattern disruption piece, isn't it?
Yeah,
And the honesty.
Yeah,
and the
this-
upfront.
yeah, absolutely. It's the honest approach. This is an automated email. It has been generated by AI or to through some form of automation using AI. However, it probably or may have got this wrong, and if it has, feedback to me so I can fix it.
And once you get the reply as well, that's also a bit of an in.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can
yeah,
push
absolutely,
on the
yeah,
challenge,
I
whatever.
get so much comeback off LinkedIn where the guys are like, yeah, your AI's totally fucked this up because I'm not this anymore, I'm doing this. I'm like, okay, I'm really sorry. I have interest while I've got you.
Yeah.
Or,
That's even funnier. Yeah, I like that.
yeah, or it's like actually, do you know what? I'm really interested, and the AI got it bang on. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, in which case, look, let's have a chat.
There's no bad scenario.
No.
No, exactly.
No,
I mean, there is one guy messaged me once, and he was just like, "Oh, I'm fucking sick and tired of people using automation for all this sort of stuff." And it's like,
That's
"Oh."
that Spanish guy, one guy.
Yeah, one
Yeah,
guy. Yeah.
Absolute twat he is.
He's always about everything. He's in every business.
He's in every one of your stories.
But like with him, I was just like, I'm not going to sell you anything anyway. You're never going to buy anything off me because you're just like your barriers all the way up there. Like I'm never going to break them down. So whatever. Like I'm still in business today, and
AI stole his wife. You can't be annoyed. You know what I mean?
Well, that's a patent drop there. AI stole my wife. I like it.
I heard his wife was Sarah Connor. So look, you guys, I've done kind of a bit of research around kind of where your training course developed and where it was born from, because like you kind of developed it through like the Chris Voss books and a lot of the other kind of the other automation.
I heard you rewrote the Sadler content from them.
Can't say that legally.
You're not legally allowed to say that.
You have to take that back. You got to say it on camera now, so I take it back.
Say there are other books available.
I take it back. There are other books available. What?
You didn't mean that. You didn't mean that. I saw it in your eyes.
I'm dead beyond that.
Yeah. So Sandler, we like Gap Selling by Keenan, the Chris Voss stuff. We actually like a lot of stuff on like therapy and psychology as well. So like when you've actually got yourself into the call. One of the big misconceptions in sales is around persuading people. You actually can't persuade anyone to do anything. If someone approach you on your way to your car now and try to persuade you to do something, it's virtually impossible to persuade you to do anything as a stranger. So it's like, how does that actually work, and how can you reprogram salespeople to think about it, not as persuading someone, but getting them to think a bit deeper about a problem. And once they do that, it tends to open up like a, holy shit, I didn't realise this is how conversations should go.
I saw that in this documentary called Inception. Where basically into their dreams, so just like plant
That's a great documentary. I don't know how they got DiCaprio to do it. Fly on the wall stuff in his dreams. It's fucking unbelievable.
But okay, so it's a really about kind of drawing the prospect to kind of the own conclusion, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's about like the way I think about it. So say you went and saw like a therapist and you're an alcoholic, and the therapist went, drinking alcohol is bad, don't you? Oh yeah. So you should probably stop, shouldn't you? Well, that's not going to work. That conversation's only going to go so far. So it's like, how would a therapist deal with here's a problem, and they'd probably, for a series of questions and challenges, get you to come to your own conclusion, which is you persuading yourself.
Yeah. Okay.
But the course and the training just born out of, we're predominantly like an outsourced SDR company. So we top a funnel, getting meetings and diaries via the phone. Pretty simple business model. But what was happening was people were putting us against their own SDRs and then being like, I don't get it. What are you doing that we're not doing internally? And I think you might have done the first one, Jack, might you, where you got flown out to Prague for a client when you'd not even been working for us that long.
About 3 months.
Very nice.
And then it was like straight away. So I took what we'd done for the first 2 or 3 and did it to them, and then straight away there was a spike in there. The issue with training is it's like, we were discussing this earlier, it's like you see that spike, but it's the accountability piece. It's not like it's not like you can have this one and you get better. Like you will see like improvements, but like constantly you've always got to be learning. Like we'll ring each other up on a morning and be like, have you listened to this book? I'm listening to the Sandler book. I'm listening to it again. Like just constantly, like you've got to listen to these things over and over again to stay sharp on it. And like anything, like you watch a film, you're like, I didn't see that the first time. So it's like always be improving it and things like that.
I'm always a big fan of audiobooks, especially when like the actual author is doing the reading of it as well, because then you actually, like the Chris Voss audiobook, the Never Split the Difference one, that one is for me is wicked, because you really kind of tap into his mind about how things work and how they operate.
Yeah, the Gap Selling one's like that, Keenan.
He wakes you up in the morning. You listen to that at 8 o'clock in the morning.
I'd only recommend that as an audiobook. We had him on our podcast, and he really bollocked me straight away as soon as he got on there for not asking him a good enough question. And I was like, superb. I said the question was something about like, if you had to introduce yourself to my nana at a barbecue, I left you with my nana and said, make some small talk, and she's asking you what you do. He like answered the question, then I went to move on, and he went, no. What would she say next? What the fuck would she say next? And I was like, whoa.
It was going round and around again, and then it was like he was being his nana. It's got back and forth.
I don't know.
I'm old.
What do you want me to say?
But his audiobooks like that. Like, it's like him, exactly.
He's brilliant.
His audiobooks just in bollocking you, saying like you're bad at sales and your prospects bitch and all that sort of stuff. And at the end of it, you feel like,
bit weird.
I'm gonna fucking get on the phone and show it, man.
Yeah. So Ben, is that how they roped you into this? They just started fucking selling to you and made you pretend to be your nan?
No, usually, well, it's well, Zach's technique is usually the pushback, isn't it? Yeah. So, yeah. Now, well, we were
pissed at a party, I think.
Yeah, a mate's 30th, and then Zach was telling me about the business and sort of moving up and, you know, hiring people and things like that, and that's sort of my background operationally, and sort of managing people and that aspect and things like that. So that's when I'd sort of suggested and said, look, if there's scope, if you get into a point where you're, you know, going to grow to that stage, let me know, and we can probably work together. It's sort of got a bit of a, I'd say, jack of all trades, really. Just approach. It's quite a lot across the business, isn't there, and managing various aspects. So yeah, it works quite well. I think
Ben made it a lot more grown up. I think there was some like, oh shit, have you been doing this the whole time? Like, moments to it. Like there was all the making us grown up, should I say? I don't want to admit anything on camera. But we've all been friends since we were teenagers.
Yeah, I saw that on LinkedIn. Yeah.
So there's like a conversation to be had around before we start. I think that's what's worked well around like rules for communicating. And Ben, you were really thorough on like what happens if we fall out or we disagree, or what do you want the rules to be in place before we start, and targets and realistic and accountability and stuff. There was loads behind that one there.
Yeah, definitely.
We've been in business 6 years, and we've still been trying to get hold of this shareholder agreement that we just, every now and again, he's like, oh, we've got to do that shareholder agreement. Yeah, we do. Yeah, yeah, remind me about that. Yeah, okay. 4 years later, it's like, oh, fuck yeah, we did do that shareholder agreement, did we? And ours is similar. Like, we've been mates for, like, fucking...
a while.
Yeah. A long time.
While.
We didn't have grades when we were mates.
You had hair.
I had hair. Yeah. Oh, didn't I?
No. Right. I had a shaved head.
Yeah, you didn't.
Oh, you swapped?
Yeah, I've gone through an evolution. So when we first met, my hair was like this. It was a clean shaved, I think, maybe.
I can't remember.
Something like that, maybe. Then I grew my hair out. Then I had a perm. Then I got rid of it again. And then, did I go back to a perm? Did I have a perm twice?
You had the perm twice, yeah.
Yeah.
The second time it looked weird. I don't know why.
Because then I'm an old guy with a fucking perm, and it's just like, what are you doing? Yeah. And also the hairline just starts to get further and further back. And I'm like, look, I've got a nice shaped head. I could do this bald thing. But it's important though to get the, like, when you're going in with mates and stuff like that, it's important to kind of get those barriers and those rules in, because you and I are accountable to each other pretty much all the time.
For me, it just like wasn't worth the risk of like getting to the end of something and just not being mates at the end of it. So it was just like anything that we have, or any obstacle, or we're challenging each other, it's like, actually, if it's getting to a point we have a conversation, open conversation, and make sure we nip it in the bud and things like that, and it doesn't lead to that, because it's, at the end of the day, it's not worth it.
Less confrontational way of doing it, which is you can have a game of noughts and crosses. Winner gets the decision.
That's a good idea.
Well, it's like rule number 2 in business that you broke, though, right? Like, because we broke 1 and 2 in terms of, they always go, don't do business with family, don't do business with friends, and like you hear that all the time, and I'm like, so who am I doing business with then? Like, I wouldn't just go and open a business with somebody I don't know. I'm absolutely going to go to my closest set of friends and my family, because they're the ones I can rely on and trust, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But also, I mean, because you started it off on your own, right? Yeah. And it's hard doing it by yourself. And having somebody to work with.
We had the crying baby.
Had the crying baby.
He was a crying baby.
The crying baby was essentially a metaphor for the cat poster of like, hang in there.
Exactly.
I must feed you.
But it's like going into business on your own. I mean, when we first set up, you went on holiday that day?
It was about a week or so later. It was a week or so later, wasn't it?
Wasn't.
Less than a week.
No, it wasn't. It was that day. It's like, we were still getting all the bits set up, and he was in Greece, and I was like, this is fucking shit. Like, I'm sat here doing all the work, and he's in Greece. How does this happen? But it is much harder doing it on your own. We've spoken to loads of business owners who've just been like on their own. Yeah, the first thing they always say, because you guys must have this, you have like a group of people that you end up kind of, that are a similar sort of stage in their business, right? And they're like, oh no, but you guys have got it easy because it's the 3 of you and your mates, and like you've got each other to help. I'm on my own. And that seems to always be the feedback we got from people who either tried it and ended up shutting down, or were really struggling, was like, but there's 2 of you, it's different. I'm like, but that's also double the overheads and double the input and double the the issues that come with running it on your own, right? But
that's the right way. I think you trade problems in for different problems.
Yeah.
That's all it is. With each like incremental step, So like sometimes I remember, like when I look back to when it was just me on my own, you're like, God, it was nice. But at the time of it wasn't, because if I had a shit month, that was on me, and then I've got mortgage to pay. I can't point the finger at anyone. So there's that. But then as we grew and added more people and more clients, then there's more problems, but then there's more money, there's more success. So
you said, right? More money, more problems. And all that sort of
that's exactly those are the words I live by.
Inspirational words from Biggie.
That great philosopher.
So look, you guys are kind of so it's outsourced sales and sales training, right? But like, there's a lot of sales trainers out there. There's a fucking lot. And all of them will approach you with some dog shit approach on LinkedIn about like how they should teach. Remember that guy that we met at that networking event as well? He was fucking awful. Like,
clowns, absolute clowns.
Sold us this thing. I was like, yeah, come to a seminar. There's other business owners like you that are going to be there. We turned up. There's us two and another business, but there's another two of them. Yeah. And it's like, what the fuck is this?
Another pair of idiots. So we're both looking at each other like, you guys ain't buying our shit, are you? And they're like, nope. We ain't buying your shit either. Like, should we just get through this next half hour, eat our bacon sandwiches and get the fuck out of here?
Like, to the point where it got to lunchtime, we were like, should we just fucking dip out?
We stepped outside. I was smoking at the time. I stepped outside for a fag and I was just like, mate, the car's literally there. Let's just go. We can escape, we're not going to speak to this guy ever again. So what if he badmouths us? Let's just go, please.
Did you?
No, we didn't. No, because this was kind of at that sub 1 year where you're trying to like, I must be professional. You know, everything matters, and then you get to year 2 and it's like, fuck everyone.
Get out of it.
Yeah.
So like, there are different ways of doing sales training, right? And you guys are obviously bought into the psychology part of it. So how do you tap into then the people that you're training, and how do you kind of have the successes that you have?
Yeah, how do you train people who don't understand psychology to think about psychology when talking about sales?
I think that maybe we can both answer this. The first thing is with sales training, it's the exact same reason you go to a sales trainer that you go to a personal trainer that you send in pictures in your underpants to once a week to show you progress. Why do people do that, do you think?
People don't all do that, right?
Just mine. It makes me just have a moustache as well. That's what that's about.
You might want to talk to the police about that.
No, show me your glutes.
And again. And a bit more. Put cream on them. But people do that for that accountability, don't they? So you know you've got a session booked in with me once a week and I want you to get marginally better, there's that accountability piece that if I could go away and read the books, and I normally say this to people, you could buy 3 books, read them, implement them, and do it yourself a lot cheaper. Why don't you just do that? But really what they're paying for with a sales trainer, whether you're with us, Callum, Benjamin, there's loads out there that you could go to. When you go into it, it's for the accountability. It's for someone to literally hold you accountable every week and say, that wasn't good enough, this is good. It's the validation, accountability, rejecting bad information. It's that whole piece that you're getting someone else to take you through.
It's the investment as well. Is like once you spend, if we said, we'll do all of our training for free, bad business decision. We've made a lot of them in our time. But if we said like it's all for free, you can have it, people probably wouldn't be that asked. What is for free? Like, do we trust it?
Can't be that valuable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. When you invest in something, you're like, what is it? Is it the sunk cost or something? It's one of these theories like in psychology, but like if you spend money on it, then you're more likely to value it and like put the time in to get better. So that's one of the big things. I think the way that the style that we do it and the way I like to do it is like, here's a little bit of theory, but like really you see so many sales trainers, and I imagine what they're from like the 90s and the noughties, just standing there and just talking 4 hours, big seminar, and it's like you don't learn anything like that. It's like you learn by doing. Like, let's get one of your calls and pick it apart, or like let's teach you a bit. Right, okay, here's the skill mirroring. Let's mirror for 45 minutes. So, and then next week when you go on the phones, just smash mirroring. Get mirroring really good until you're a 10 out of 10. I'm really good at mirroring now. Cool, well, let's bring this good. And then you just marginally, this is another one from the toolbox that I'm good at. So it's like, what are the skills that you need? Well, your pattern interrupt's fine. You're getting into it, but then you're losing them when you're getting into the meat and bones of the call. So what is it? Or when I pick up the phone and I speak to people, nobody wants to give me 30 seconds. Right, it's a tonality and pacing, maybe. Let's break it down to it's like, here's your theory.
Just getting into the weeds with them rather than like dictating to them. It's not a Tony Robbins seminar. You don't need to be stood there shouting about how good psychology and sales are and how they mesh together, and then letting people walk off and just not do it.
A lot of people underestimate how much psychology is actually involved in sales, isn't it? Like, you talk to any business owner, and whether they're doing IT, whether they're in law or running an accounting practice, for a lot of these guys, it's always like, I'll do the selling myself. I'll find somewhere to do some business
the
development.
sales is the easy bit.
The sales is the easy bit, right? And actually, what they don't realise is that's probably the fucking hardest bit. The hardest bit of the thing is actually winning the clients in the first place. And how are you going to win the clients against every market's saturated? I don't care what anybody says. Like, there isn't a single industry that you can be in that isn't saturated, because there's so much information available now. So you have to stand out. And do you find then that the salespeople that you're selling to are the hardest ones to sell to because they're so bought into their own bullshit? Or do you think it's the guys who are business owners then that are like, actually, do you know what, I can do this?
The salespeople, I had a guy that's new guy that's come on from Canada last week, the first session with him. He's paid for a lot of other courses, and he messaged me over the weekend saying, I've been pissed off about that session all week. Thank you. He was like, I thought I really knew a lot about it, but basically we just unpicked everything. And what it was all about was, it was all about him. Here's how I get my value prop over. Here's how I get my awards and creds over. And that's how I build value and all this crap. And then you get into, well, what's the person you're speaking to? What's their favourite subject going to be when they jump on that call with you? What are they there to talk about? Themselves. And this first 30 minutes, who's that about? It's about me. But then how would they know why does it matter?
Yeah.
It's not about you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So a lot of it is like,
at some point,
that.
this person's convinced themselves that those credentials mean something and that people give a shit.
Yeah, exactly.
And therefore trying to wedge those in. And then, people want to know about how our product is award-winning, this, that, and the other, and blah, blah, blah. And I need to wedge that in because, that's important to people. And it's like, well, no, when was the last time you actually asked the prospect, what's important to you?
Yeah.
Why are we on this call? What are you looking to get out of this?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's talk about you. What do you want? Where your pain points are?
The way I get people to realise that is we do this role play where I say, let's imagine we're mates and I've met you in the pub and I say, look, I'm thinking about leaving my wife. What's the first question you're going to ask me?
Why?
And then I'll tell you, the magic's not there anymore. And then what would you say?
How did the magic disappear?
Yeah. And then we'll probably start getting into a line
where... why, because.
And then you start probably telling me like, well, have you tried this instead? Why don't you try that? And then we get to a point where they've asked me, hopefully, a lot of good questions. One guy just said to me, get on Tinder and meet someone else. But I was like, I don't think you're going to be good at this.
But straight away, like, that's a fucking great idea, pal.
Usually, we do it in interviews as well, don't we? But usually we get to a point where like they've asked a lot of good questions, they've built empathy. I think that's really thoughtful, they've summarised things really well. So right, now why aren't you doing that in your sales calls? And it's like
It's a penny drop moment, isn't it? Of like,
there's no difference between the two. I guarantee you, if I was your mate and I came to you in the pub and we were asking questions, you wouldn't at the end of every question go, okay, great, I completely understand.
Yeah.
That's the next question.
We'll go on to that in a moment.
Remind me to ping you something over after because exactly.
I hate that.
There's something about that.
There's
a great podcast I've seen.
Circle back to this. I fucking hate
synergy, fucking all these bullshit business words. Do you think that's the millennial effect? Because a lot of the stuff that we get frustrated with in the kind of the sales world specifically is all kind of essentially what we're describing is like 80s and 90s salespeople, and like, you know what I mean, the briefcase wankers and the let's put a pin in that, let's do this, here's my agenda, you start every meeting with the agenda. So Zach, what we're going to do today is we're going to discuss this, and then we'll move on to this, and then at that point we'll open up this. And as millennials, we kind of were like, this is bollocks, and eventually we got to a point where we're like, no, this is bollocks, I'm going to go and do this myself, and I'm not going to do it that way. Do you think that's what it is, or do you think that actually it's just the world has evolved and we're having to now evolve with it, and sales is evolving with it as well?
We're understanding sales a lot better.
I don't think the issue is with sales, like whatever you do, if you open your calls with hi, how are you, if you ask ban, if you do all of these things, you set an agenda, the chances are you are going to sell. Like there will be situations where it will work. We're not saying if you do this, it works 100% of the time. If you do that, it will never work. There's all these different things where it will work, but you've got to think. I think that kind of stuff has worked, but did it really work? Like Sandler's been around for decades, and it's more of a case of like, what are you doing? Like the questions you're asking, who are they for? Are they for you as a salesperson, or are they for the prospect to get them to think? So everyone's like, we speak to companies and they're like, ban. Well, ban are questions for you. I need to know if you've got the budget. I need to know you've got the authority. What about the person that's that in front of you that they've come to you? Why have they come to you? What kind of problem are they trying to solve? How big's that problem? What happens if they don't solve it? That's what the question should be orientated at, not do you have enough money? And there's a level to that, and we kind of qualify that in the beginning, but you can do it in like a, not how much money do you have, like we front load with our objections. So it's a case of, can I share with you some reasons why people don't work with us? And it's there's no guarantees. It might cost between this much and this much, which people might say is too expensive, blah, 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 blah. Here's a whole list of reasons why people usually run for the hills. Oh, no, I'm fine with that. That's fine. Okay, cool. Let's find out about you. Do you know what I mean? Let's get into it rather than saying, like, it's all about me. But
what you need is brand. You need ambassadors, really, because you need to connect with your prospect on an emotional level to the point where they're fighting your corner for you. So even if they're not responsible for the budget, they can go and have it out with the person that is responsible for the budget as to why they need whatever it is that you're selling, be that sales training, recruitment, or whatever. If you've got somebody internally fighting that battle for you, it's way easier than you sitting there trying to convince somebody who then needs to convince somebody else.
Constantly having to sell.
what does Keenan say? If the house is on fire, doesn't matter if the kid knows. The kid's going to go and tell somebody that the house is on fire. The problem's big enough. Like you don't knock on and go, "Is the homeowner in? I need to tell him your roof's on fire." It's like,
you make something happen.
you make something happen.
Yeah.
But that's part of the qualification piece. If to your point, someone's got to go away and get budget from a cold call is made up anyway. Like, why would you have budget for something you just got cold called about?
Yeah.
I'd be shocked if you did. I've been waiting for this. You know what I mean? I'd be totally shocked if that's what happened. But you've got to go deep enough that someone's got a case in their head of, I'm going to go and fight this battle for you and get this
what
budget.
he's on about.
Yeah, and usually when you go deep enough, like I've got loads of examples of calls that I show when we're bringing in new people. When you go deep enough and people start talking about what it means to solve that problem, you're hearing things like, because I get to go home earlier on a Friday and spend time with my kids. I don't get to spend any time with my kids, and it's getting less and less time. When I get home, they go to bed. Right, there you go. That's what you're actually trying to solve.
Yeah.
You're not
this person
trying to
doesn't
solve.
give a shit about the P&L.
No, exactly.
Doesn't give a shit what the shareholders make. Doesn't
Exactly.
give a shit about, oh, that's slightly over budget. This is the bit that I try and get through to the guys upstairs all the time, is that the prospects that you're speaking to, they're not spending their money. So when they're sitting there going, oh, your fees are a bit high, they're told to say their fees are a bit high. You know, they're told to get you down. They don't care. They don't care whether they pay $5,000 or 15 grand for this candidate. What they care about is not having that candidate means I've got to put in the extra hours, which means I can't go and play golf on Friday or see my kid or be there for bedtime. That's the shit they care about. They don't care about the money. They're spending the business's money. And if you can get under the past all the kind of like, we have a supply list, no, you're too expensive, and all that bollocks and the smokescreen stuff, and get down to the real crux of, look, what's that? If you don't replace that candidate, or if you don't fill that job in the next 2-3 weeks, how's that going to impact you? Well, actually, I'm going on holiday in 2 weeks' time, so we'd be fucking up a creek without a paddle.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you talk about budget and how this is expensive or whatever, and then we might need to get a temp in. Have you looked at the cost of that? How expensive is it going to be to have a temp? Yeah, I didn't think about that actually either. Right, okay. So now, are we really going to haggle and argue over an increase of like 20% on the fee or 30% fee?
But then,
you know what I mean?
I understand where you're coming from with you, but then I know from my perspective, if I do that and someone says, oh, it's this price, and I say, oh, budget's $1,000 less actually, so many times they'll just drop it $1,000.
Yeah.
So then that's the problem. It's both ways, because I know for a fact we've had a conversation before, and I've gone, watch this. I'll email back saying, oh, I'm literally really sorry, but I can't. What I'm currently spending is £30 per head less on this. There's a fact, and they'll come back and it's matched.
Yeah.
So then it's like, well, you get into a game then, don't you? Of going, well,
knowing that you
what
can
is
do that. It's like the car insurance thing. Nobody pays on their renewal for the same price anymore, because everybody knows that you go and haggle, right?
Yeah.
And it's become
I'll
that
put
thing.
it down to perceived value, though, right? Because price only ever becomes an issue in the absence of value, right? Now, if what you're saying is that the £1,000 is the be all and end all, well, then I haven't added value, or I haven't showed you that whatever I'm selling is valuable enough to you, and you don't believe that it costs or should cost that extra £1,000. In which case, it's a case of, all right, look, am I prepared to walk away from that business for £1,000 and change the value of my proposition, or am I expected to give you or show you extra value in terms of why I'm £1,000 more expensive? And that comes down to the salesperson, doesn't it? And how
and much we don't do that, do we? We don't just drop prices, and
There's no. That's part of the front loading of objections. As we said, there's no discounts. any
Do you,
They
do you
can't
get
be.
it that much? Like, because maybe in the early days, but less so now. Nobody ever, apart from that one guy that asked for a 1% discount, and I said no, and
Just wanted to win,
then he
didn't
went
he?
somewhere else.
I used to be really
1%
clever
discount
about it as
literally
well.
just for himself. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I used to add like all the little clever routes around it once. And is there any discount? If you think about that question,
Yeah.
no. Okay, fine, and they just move on. But I used to like when I was a younger salesperson.
Yeah.
Let me try and come up with a clever reason why there's no. Really, the question is there any discounts? Yes or no?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Move on.
It was my first ever sales job working at a phone shop called The Link. Years and years ago. You guys are too young to remember it. We used to sell fax machines and Nokia 3310s, and this old boy was buying a Nokia 3310, and it was the first transaction, the first phone I'd sold. I'm like, 50p fucking commission on this, fucking have it. And he starts putting it through. I was like, yeah, that's $89.99 then, please. And he's like, oh, okay. And staff discount? And I'm like, what? He wants staff discount. He's like, does he work here? Or does he work for the Dixon's Group? And I was like, I don't know, I'll find out. Do you work for the Dixon's Group at all? And he's like, no, but you do. And I was like, no, but I do. And I was like, my manager looked at me like, are you a fucking idiot? Like, do you want to give him a discount? I was like, I don't know. Does this happen? Is this normal? And then he kind of like, I was like, no, I can't do it. And he's like, okay. And then pays it and goes off. And then like, but that stuck with me for years because I was just like, that guy had the bottle to just ask for a discount.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here like petrified, like, oh no, I can't ask for it. I can't, like, it's rude. No, he didn't give a shit. He was like, yeah, listen, old young man, you're going to give me a discount. No, I'm not. Well, you work here. Can you give me a discount? No, I can't. All right, fine, cool. I'm still going to buy it.
Yeah.
But I would have saved 10%. And like,
The question on discount is generally speaking, I mean, there isn't really, budget doesn't come into it, supplier agreements, none of that comes into it. The generally speaking is, can I have a discount? Why do you need a discount?
I need the win.
Because I want it.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's it.
I want the
Because
win.
I want
Yeah.
it.
So you want a
that's what it is.
deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone wants
That's
a
I
deal.
want to go to
it
the
is.
pub and be like, yeah, got 20%.
But so
off
many
it.
salespeople
Justifies
are willing,
that.
and they're probably taught, and I've seen it in other companies, willing to just drop their pants and say, like, you know what, just get it over the line. Like, and
That's
we've
big-
brilliant
a big-
sales directors though.
Well, a big part of the problem, so I've seen it recently, is that like so many people will get to the end of a quarter and that's where you get your discount, right?
Yeah.
So it gets to
Yeah.
the end of
Yeah.
Q4
Well,
or
the call
whatever, and
starts
it's
with
like,
that. The call starts with,
but a lot,
we're at the end of a quarter. We're offering big discounts for you to be able to buy this proposition.
how much
Yeah.
off commission are you? All
Yeah,
right, cool.
exactly.
What will you do for me?
and a lot of it apparently is down to like the basically the forecasting for the quarter.
Yeah.
So they'll have all of their ops in, they'll have all of this in, and it's a bit more like, oh, if all this lands, and then they get to the end of the quarter and half of it hasn't landed
Yeah.
because it's about 50% rate, and then it's all of a sudden like, oh, I'm in hot water, I'm gonna have to go to my boss and tell him that actually we're down. So what I'll do is I'll just hack
Yeah.
the price for everyone and then try and hit it, but then that's just a vicious cycle because they'll
Not
always
not realising what that does to
It's the long term,
the
it's
ones
short
that have
term,
paid
long
full
term.
price as well, though, right?
Yeah.
Because we have this. We did a big piece on fee negotiation with the guys upstairs, and we were like, look, you need to challenge your prospects, right? And say to them like, look, you want me to drop this fee by 30%, right? How is that fair to all my other customers who I don't do that for?
Yeah.
How is that fair? Like, how would you feel if you found out that the last thing you purchased, you paid 30% more than everybody else? And they were like, oh, can we say that? Like, yeah, of course you can. Absolutely. Challenge them back. When was the last time you gave 30% off your product that your business sells? Oh, well, we don't discount. Well, what are you asking me to then? Like, what?
And if
Where's the sense?
If they're too sensitive that you piss them off, they're probably
You don't want to deal with them anyway.
That's not the kind of client you want because it's just going to bite you on the arse later on.
How many times have we said, "Are you a bit more expensive?" No, yeah, no. So I'd probably go with one of the other ones, and then they disappear for a week, come back and say, "Oh right, I was expecting you to come back to me with an email. I'm ready to go."
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
Nothing's changed. Price is the same.
I literally had this exact same scenario, and I'm reliving it again 4 years later. So I had a client who we sourced for this finance management accountant, finance manager type role. Sent the CV, got everything done, and the guy was like, "Yeah, we love her. She's great, but A, your fees are too expensive, and B, her salary's too expensive." I was like, "Well, both things can't change. There's nothing there I can change. So her salary is what she needs to live on. My fee is what I need to live on. So we are where we are."
Yeah.
He goes, offers the other guy. 6 weeks later, calls me up. We're on the way to a meeting, remember? Calls me up and he's like, "Can we get her in?" Okay, but the salary hasn't changed and neither has my fee. Doesn't matter, just get her in. Same client now calls me back 4 years later because they're recruiting for somebody for her now to work alongside her. And email, "You need to work at these rates." No, I don't.
Yeah.
You literally are the definition of buy cheap, buy twice, right?
Yeah.
You experienced that
You've
4
already
years
been
ago.
through this,
Like, I don't understand
We're
why
not
we're
doing
doing
it
this again.
again.
Yeah, like why are we singing the same song? Why are we doing the same dance again? When you know the value of what I offer, and that's what my cost is. Like that, I'm not going to sit here and start negotiating based on the rest of the market is doing that. Great, well get them to find you the candidate.
Yeah. You will get cheaper than us. You could outsource it to another country, and you would save thousands of
Of
pounds.
course you will. Yeah.
But see what happens.
Yeah,
It's fine.
do it yourself. Get
Yeah.
it.
But you guys can't be the most expensive because you're the second best.
You are the second.
You can't be
Second best.
Second
second best
most
and
expensive.
charge the most. That doesn't work.
Why not?
It just doesn't work. It doesn't.
That's why we're the second best.
Yeah.
Too expensive. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
That was the metric you found. Yeah. So who's the first?
Yeah.
Who's the first?
Do you want to name drop them? Should we advertise them?
Well, it's a good question because in our industry, everybody claims to be the first.
Yeah.
So it depends what way you're looking at it. If you're looking at it from where they're sat, they're going to say they're the first.
How many messages do you think the leading get compared to the messages that I get saying why are you second? The leading never get a message saying why are you the leading.
Why are you the
But the
best?
amount of messages, why are you the best Tina Turner? But I get a lot of, and I'm sure you do as well. Why are you second best?
It's a
Because
passive
first the worst.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
I bet-
That's
I
what
bet-
happened with Little.
Yeah.
and I bet third best gets way more messages than you guys do.
Yeah, we
Well,
should
third
change
the
that.
best at hairy chest,
Might
isn't
set up on my own, the third best.
You got behind me.
You're gonna give that Rohit Palmer an idea, aren't you?
Yeah.
15th best in the.
Yeah.
Why 15th? Oh, here's a Ramesh Ranganathan video.
There's one of the guys that we train in America. Everything that we do, he's dined out on as like he's the second best in what he does. His tagline's the same as ours. I'll have to show it you. It's quite. There's nothing bad about it. It's a total separate
Some chap
industry.
called George Michael. He's
Yeah.
called Wham.
He's a
Michael
risen.
George.
Yeah.
So I mean that's a form of flattery though, isn't it? Like imitation. Don't they say imitation's a form of
Of
flattery? or
course,
something?
we've copied stuff. Everything's a remix.
Everything's
None
a
of this is
remix.
new. None of the stuff that all the
I
other
like
people
that,
do is
everything's
new.
remix.
Yeah.
Everything's a remix.
What
yeah.
did your music teacher teach you?
I did a music degree. My music teacher said
Okay.
once we've all got the same 12 notes.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, everything's going to hit a point where it's a remix.
Well, Nathan's got a sound engineer and he's an up and coming rapper and artist. Yeah.
Producer now. Yeah.
All right.
He changes every week.
Yeah. he's a musician, artist, producer, DJ. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
You like that? You can incorporate that into your into when you're doing your mixes and stuff for your customers. So listen, we've all got the same 12 notes.
Yeah.
To be honest, I got told the same thing.
Yeah. We know each other.
All musicians.
Same teacher. But it's like you,
It's like a
you
musician's
read any
LinkedIn.
you read any self-help book, like you read Mark Manson or Tony Robbins, you're like, oh my god, this is amazing. Then you're like, oh right, it's pretty much based on like religion, like the Buddha, or do you know what I mean? It's from Marcus Aurelius.
It's like, Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules of Life. Essentially, it's like very kind of like side by side with the Bible because he's quite religious as well.
Yeah.
But it's sort of like a non-religious version of kind of a summary of the Bible for him.
Like the 12 commandments, but they're not commandments.
Yeah.
Non-religious beliefs.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Everyone's inspired by something. We'd be idiots if we sat here now and said
We invented sales.
We've actually two 31-year-olds. Yeah, we actually invented sales and the way we do things now. It's like no, we're like, oh, I like that. This is my remix of it. Oh, so that's your own and your own tonality, your own voice on it, the way that you package it up. So it's like you've got to just put your own stamp on it and say like, but then be confident in it and be like, this is mine and it works.
So would you say that it's got to work then for the type of personalities that you guys are? Or could you get like a total introvert who is like not bought into sales, doesn't understand anything about sales? Could you teach him what you guys do? Or does it have to have somebody who's
Is there a building
like-minded?
block foundation that you need to work with?
Well, when
I guess that comes to who we recruit, right? We always look for that the unknown thing.
Yeah.
It's hard to describe. That's like a bit of flair, something a bit different,
That je
something
ne
that
sais
can
quoi.
act. Yeah.
The va va
Something
voom
you just
material.
like. Like any time work with a recruiter or anything, they say, "What is it?" I'm like, I can't describe it to you. It's just you just know when you get someone like it's,
Is it a feeling?
yeah.
We had a recruiter who said, no one else wants this person, that's why we think you'll like them. And I was like, oh, they're getting it now.
And that's what happens on like recruitment days. We've sat on these big recruitment days and there's like 5 different clients. Then at the end, everyone's going, no, hated them. And we're like, I thought they were fucking brilliant. They were like a bit of a nutter, like a bit of like, but I think on the introvert thing, it's like that gets thrown around. Like, do you have to be an extrovert or an introvert? We're very different in that sense. You're more introverted. I'm more extrovert. But it's like, it doesn't matter. It's like, it's a style. You bring your own. The style is like the same of like questioning, and you can challenge someone and you can either be brash with it or you can be quite soft with it. It depends on, it's probably more so not about who you are, who they are. And like that's where the mirroring comes in.
Yeah, we've got people in the team who, if we've got a campaign that's like you're targeting HR directors, you couldn't just give it to anyone in the team. There's someone who will be strong at HR directors. Someone who can sell to a marketing director can't sell to a CEO, typically. Yeah. So it's like, we tend to hone in what's everyone good at.
I think this is where a lot of recruitment agencies get it wrong, in terms of how they operate their businesses, in that they see sales as very kind of binary, as in you're either good at it or you're not. And it's like, no. Certain people will sell better to a certain clientele or a certain industry, right? We've got some people upstairs who, like, I'll take Tom as an example. Tom absolutely couldn't work in the engineering industry. But in that tech sector and that kind of senior transformation sector, he's perfect because his tone, his approach, his kind of how he likes to word his emails and everything else, it suits that market. But then what you often find in recruitment industry is, no, if you're a good salesperson, I should be able to put you on any sales desk because it's a sales job, and therefore you should be able to sell my shit to whoever and whatever circumstance. And it's like, yeah, you're taking the person out of the sales then, aren't you? What you're basically saying is, like, scan that item and put it in the bag. You know, speak to as many candidates as you can, speak to as many clients as you can, and eventually things will start working for you. And that's where I think, like, if you think outside of kind of just the recruitment industry, where sales probably ends up getting a bad name because it's so easy to get into. People go into it and they're like, oh no, you didn't work out, fuck him off. And it's like, he didn't work out for a number of reasons, and him not being good at the job wasn't necessarily it.
No,
you know
exactly.
What I mean?
There's the thing that people tend to struggle with is you've got to bring in that little 6-year-old in your head and the relationship with validation and rejection in a sales job. Yeah. You can't get too high on the wins, and the losses can't totally destroy you. You've almost got the best advice I got was like, you almost need to be like quite indifferent. Yeah. So every day is like a straight line, like, oh, I won, but I knew I'd win, because the formula is like, by now I would win. I've done X amount of activity, now I win, and I've lost because I didn't do enough. And then it's just constant accountability, but it's just a straight line. So you're not like, oh my god, I'm fucking blown away, I hit target this month, amazing, I'm going to go and get absolutely off my nut. And then equally, I'm failing, so I'm going to get off my nut as well. It's just like a vicious cycle.
Well, that's consistency.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Regardless of the result, I'm going to get off my nut.
But that's the bit where people struggle. And when we've had people that have left, they've come to us with that. And then I think I'm in that age now, aren't I, where there's like younger people that you talk about. But younger people, I don't know if you two have seen this, but they seem to want
things. Mate, we don't know what you're talking about.
Sorry, 21-year-olds over it. But I know that
those young people, go on.
But there seems to be like I want it now. Like an inability to delay the gratification of like, if you just trust the process for this amount of time, things will happen.
That's the environment they've grown up in, right? We didn't grow up with Amazon next day delivery. We didn't grow up with binge watching an entire series on Netflix in one night. You know, we remember having to wait for the next week. I can't wait for that episode to come out.
The charts on your tape.
But not even that far back, right? We remember just even things like 3 to 5 days shipping is normal. Like that's acceptable. Like, you know, it's coming next week. Not like, fucking hell, it's been 6 hours and it ain't here yet.
Across all sectors, though. I mean, even dating. We were talking about Tinder earlier, right? And like, your man's about to get divorced, and straight away he's on Tinder, just fucking flicking right. And it's like all of that stuff.
Is their approach to their environment, and unfortunately, it's either a case of like either they have to amend that kind of expectation to work in sales and they succeed in sales, or the kind of the world's going to move because our decisions being made quicker in terms of from a sales point of view, possibly. You know, are we going to get to a point where actually we're in a like a Tinder-esque, like, you know, I need a new recruitment agency, yeah, I'll go with them.
Maybe.
These kind of the younger generation, their prospects aren't people who are quick decision makers or who are making those decisions.
No, their prospects are us.
There are
They're selling to millennials and Gen X.
Yeah.
Which is why there's all these TikToks about how fucking like we take ages to make decisions and all that sort of stuff. But the point is though that you have to have a level of adaptability. When we were younger and we were coming up into sales, our thing was relatively similar, wasn't it? You've got to be respectful towards your elders. You got to do a certain way. You got to
yeah.
So it's all going to be different to kind of when they become decision makers. And
It'll
who
come
knows?
full circle again. It always does. Everything's on a loop. So
Everything's a remix.
everything's a remix.
It's going to stick with that, aren't you?
Yeah.
Everything's a remix. Like,
Everything's a remix.
It's not copyrighted, that, you know. You can have that.
It will be.
That's gonna be our tagline.
Welcome to Rec Talk. Everything's a remix.
Yeah. Second best podcast in the world.
There he is.
Best podcast. Yeah. That was my thing. I was trying to push right this season 1 was like, it's the UK's #1 recruitment podcast by some metric.
That's good. Yeah.
Depends on how you want to measure it. Yeah. Filmed in Coventry. Yeah. We'll have that.
We'll have that.
We'll take that one.
So, going back then to kind of the type of personality that works and stuff like that, because personality is obviously a big thing in sales, right? So, are you saying then with your training course, the building blocks are there to adapt it to what your personality is and what how you work, or is it a case of you need that va-va-voom that you're saying to kind of do it?
I feel. I don't know what you want me to. I feel like you've got to. You look
It's lining you up for something.
say the line.
Yeah.
Say
It's
the
that
line.
one. It's that one we talked about.
That's what the tattoos are, aren't they? They just,
He's like, I've run out of things to say. Shall I just repeat? We started it because it was cold weather.
We like
Trying to
George
get through
Michael,
gatekeepers.
and we have a meeting.
Pepsi and Shirley.
I feel like you've got to have that bit where you want to improve. Like I want to learn and I want to get better. Is that right?
Yeah, it's right. No, it is right. There are certain things that you're not going to get around. It's definitely not for everyone. I don't think everyone should do it. I think if you feel like I'm the sort of person who can emotionally manage my state and I'm somewhat adaptable, you'll be all right. But weird things will get in your way. Like we've had people that we've not hired because of the way the voice sounds. You're just you're not going to be able to make it work. And that's
Give us an example of the voice.
I want to do it.
I
Go
don't
on.
know.
Can I do it?
Yeah.
He's never going to watch it, is he?
Go on.
You might do.
Seen Gogglebox before, haven't you?
yeah.
So we had a lad who everything he said was like that. In Blackpool, it's me and my wife Shirley.
He's like everything he said.
I'd buy from him.
I'll be honest, he's actually a cold call. So I don't know if you want to hang up or
Bit creepy. isn't
let
it,
me have
actually?
30
It's like, you
seconds of
watching
your
me?
time.
Are you giving me batty chips?
Oh God, I completely understand why you wouldn't want to.
And I'd be like, oh, no, you're not going to work. But he didn't sound like that, not on the phone.
No. Which is bizarre. Some people get on the phone and they've got this weird phone voice, but you've started doing it now. You do first stage interviews and you're like, I liked them, I thought they were good, but the voice, I know that Jack and Zach would just pick up on it and be like, that's like a big step.
It's really
Which
hard.
is weird,
But it's hard to actually portray to recruiters as well. It's just how do I say this? But if they've got a funny voice, then but then sometimes it's a good thing, and sometimes it's not.
Sometimes it's not. Given the fact
You know,
that the
Barry
majority
White,
of what you
what
guys
his
do is
voice?
telephony based. I mean, that's a
It's a
key
massive
skill,
part.
right?
Yeah,
That's like
yeah.
me being like, I can't believe I got rejected from that developer job. I mean, I can't write
Yeah.
code, but
Yeah.
that shouldn't hold me back.
I got rejected for being a driver because I haven't got a license. That's so
It's going into the job, right? Yeah.
And that's what
What's the feedback? Your voice isn't right. It's not right.
It drives me mad when I get an interview through and I sit there and I think, you just can't talk. Or you can't communicate. So I'm like, how are you going to ring people all day, every day for a living
I mean,
if
that's
you
a
can't
pretty
talk to
cool-
me for 5 minutes about your life?
And like you
about you.
Yeah,
The
listen
one
to
thing
it.
that only you know more than anybody else in the world. Yeah.
That's the other good point, actually. Yeah, that thing around, like that example I was giving before about I'm going to leave my wife. What questions do you ask? If you're not the sort of person that can think of a couple of questions to ask,
If you can't even ask 3 questions
Yeah.
of following on from that statement,
you're not going to be right because you've got to think on your feet a bit. Even though there's a process to follow, if I said something to you that was totally off the cuff, we had a guy who I probably should never have hired him. He had that voice, where everything like that in it, talking like that, about everything. But he got on a call, right, and he's on a call. I couldn't hear him. I was doing something else, and he's looking around like that, and he's going, "I'll be honest with you, I don't know the answer to that question. I'll have to call you back." So I was like, fucking hell, what did they ask? So I finished what I was doing. I thought, what did they ask? They asked if we're a recruitment agency.
What did you
And I was like, all right. And are we a recruitment agency? Well, no.
So why didn't you say
So
that?
what's the answer to the question? Oh, is it no? What do you mean, is it no? I didn't even know that.
So glad.
so
What do
good.
you mean, is it no? We're not a recruitment
Just got-
agency.
that's the bit with the generous squad. Like when you're listening to people, I don't know if you do it when you're screening candidates, but you listen to someone, and if it's like we do it with podcasts as well. You pick up on like a tick or like a dog word if they completely say like if they always send the same thing or they're going and it's like once you kind of click into that, you're like, oh, I can't
That's gonna
unhear
sound
that.
like-
Unhear it.
You've ruined yourself for me now. Sorry.
It's like the not estate agents, travel agents. You seem to always elongate the last word of every sentence. So when is it you're going away? And
Sean, I'm calling from Michael Sean McGrew. Just wanted to see if you're recruiting.
It's like, maybe you should try working at a travel agency. You got the voice for it.
Yeah, I think I always find that there's a certain profile of salespeople that work well. For me, it's people in sports. I always find that when I talk to people in sports or who have come from like they've played football or rugby or kind of any kind of competitive sport, they're generally speaking that competitive nature about them has that it has a little bit of that spark that we were talking about where I think you could potentially do it. There's other factors within there as well, which is like they've got to have the right voice, they've actually got to have the grit between their teeth. But generally speaking, I think sports people are quite resilient and they're quite competitive in how they work.
You gonna say it?
Yeah, wankers. No, my issue is like me and Zach are very like we're not sporty, like we don't like football and all those kind of things which some people said, and I think you are like I get it, it's like a bit of a discipline, but I think it's a very easy thing to say, but typically what comes with that, like that salesperson is good and they would be perfect working at somewhere like Softcat where they've got to wear a suit and they can't sit down on a chair until they've earned their stripes. For us, we like a bit more quirky, nicer, a bit outside of the box.
Yeah.
I think the sports type, typically from what I've seen, just my opinion, but it's a bit more wall for wall. Yeah, recruitment probably best for them.
Yeah, I think look, you always will have your kind of Wolf of Wall Street kind of pinstripe suit wearing arsehole who's like, no, I'm the best thing since sliced bread. But I think if you were to look at the softer transferable skills around being resilient, you were talking about kind of just being quite indifferent. A good athlete will normally kind of go in with we've got the win, but on to the next.
Yeah,
we've got to move on because we can't just ride on the highs.
The issue with that though is like I don't like football. Yeah, I like combat sports. You don't really get a lot of this in combat sports. You do every now and again, but in football, what I notice is like if you feel hard done by, a footballer does, they're an absolute dickhead about it, right? And that's a culture that gets passed on. And if they win, they're like rubbing each other's faces and like with the fucking champagne glasses out and like, look, we won. And that breeds a culture like that. We find that if someone says like on the CV, what are they interested in? Oh, I'm a stand-up comedian in my own time. Fucking hell, this is going to be good.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a failed actor. Brilliant. You're probably going to be good as well. If it's like I was a semi-professional football player, for some reason, even though it's a team sport, they tend to be like in it to like, I'm going to stand over everyone here to show that I'm the best player
in a team.
Yeah,
they're I get it. I get like we always disagree on this sort of stuff as well, right? In that you like what I would consider to be that kind of more sharp salesperson more than I do, and there'll be people that we interview where we'll walk out and I'll be like, fucking wanker.
And you'll say, I like him.
Yeah, I liked him. I can see him doing this. I can see him doing that. I'm like, yeah. No doubt that you could do recruitment because recruitment's not that hard. But like, I just think the guy's a bit of a twat, right? But there's people that walk out and I'll be like, I really like that guy. Like, there's just something about that person or that girl that I really like, and I think with the right amount of training, support, and blah blah blah, I think they could be a decent salesperson. And he'll be like, how? Based on what? Like,
yeah,
like, I don't see it. You know what I mean? So I think it depends on what you're looking for as well, right? Because
we have that though, don't we? Where we disagree on like.
But maybe it's because we're smaller. So at the moment, it's like
every hire
as a smaller every hire is like I've got to sit in a room with you every day. But like, do I like this person? And that is like
that accounts.
You've
for
got to
a lot.
look for that. Like as we grow and we get to the point where we're like 100 employees. we're not going to be sitting down with them at final stage. It's like, trust them, and we'll end up with the whole of Coventry under 17s. I'm sure.
We tend to everyone has to say yes, don't we? Otherwise, it's a no.
Yeah, our process really annoys recruiters. Like we do. First stage with Ben, you've got to book your own next stage interview by cold calling me and Jack using our approach.
I did that with Liam.
Yeah. So you get that in. Then me and Jack do a real grilling. Halfway through the interview, we tell you we don't think you're going to be able to do it, and you've not got the job, to see how you react to rejection. But when you've done that,
you're giving the secrets away here. Like people will be like, good one. Anyway, shall we carry on with this process? Like, no, seriously, fuck that.
Exactly.
Good one.
Yeah, no, I don't like you. And then when they get through that, they've got to come into the office without me and Jack in the room, meet the team, and the team's got to like them. Yeah. So they've got to have like a yes from. Is that sustainable if we got bigger? Maybe not.
No, but right now you're a family unit size, and actually one bad out. And we've learnt this the hard way, where you put the wrong person in, and you lose good people because of the wrong person, and that wrong person might make money, right? And that wrong person might be not only covering costs but a profitable biller. But what's more important, losing two people who could be something, over keeping this one person who's putting money in your pocket today, but you're damn sure ain't going to stick around when the right opportunity comes along for you.
That's why we bring in the value piece. It's like values, how you do it, how we do things, how we operate, and who it is, and doing it the right way. Just because someone comes in, and I'm going to have to bring it back to sport, I'm sorry, lads. But like Cristiano Ronaldo, right?
Who's that? F1?
Yeah, exactly. might score a load of goals, but if he takes away from the team, then you don't want him in the team. So it's that thing
he had that
of
situation, didn't he, at Man United, where the whole thing was about him.
Offside.
But I'm with Ronaldo on that one, though. Like all my family are like massive Man United fans, and I don't care about football really much at all.
Paul Scholes.
Like Coventry. Paul Scholes.
Yeah.
Teddy Sheringham. Ryan Giggs.
Gary Lineker.
Ryan Giggs shagged someone's wife, didn't he? Or did his wife get his brother's wife? Yeah.
For about 10 years.
Yeah.
For about 10 years.
For about 10 years.
Yeah. Didier Pogba.
Yeah. Didier Pogba. He's an arm wrestling champion, isn't he?
He's an arm wrestling champion. David Seaman.
Second best. Second best. But it's about sticking to how to do things, and someone might get you short-term results, but is it going to damage the long-term run and how we actually want to do things?
I had an interview last night with a recruiter, and I've been banging this drum to him for fucking ages. Right? What would stand out to me anytime somebody wants a job with us is if you're a recruiter. Fucking call up and tell me about yourself, right? Like,
sell yourself to me, right?
Just tell me about why you're a good recruiter. So this guy messaged me, first time it's ever happened in like 6 years, right? And he messaged me, he's like, hey, listen, I know you guys are recruiting. I want to put myself forward for it because I haven't got the industry experience, but let's have a conversation. I'll explain to you why I'm a good proposition. It's like, yeah, okay, fine, let's have a chat about this, right? Have a chat with him. I think we arranged a call for about 8 o'clock last night. On the phone to him for about 45 minutes, and he's just telling me about everything that he does, why he's a good proposition for me, how he's going to stand out for the business, what my pain points are, and kind of how that's going to work for me. And I'm sitting there fucking eating the whole thing up, thinking, you're showing me that you can do the job. I don't really see anything else.
Was he a semi-pro footballer?
He was a semi-pro.
That's why you like him.
Wow.
No, he wasn't.
That was his opening gambit. Yeah. Sean, I'm semi-pro footballer.
I've done my research. Personalised.
I've used an automation tool.
Hi Sean, I see you own a recruitment business. I too am recruitment.
But all he did was throughout the entire thing was just talk to me about what it is that I'm looking for, why it is that I'm looking for that, and how it is that he can help with solving that issue for me.
Match back the solution.
Yeah, just solving that issue for me. And I'm sitting there just swallowing the whole thing up thinking, that's like, I know what you're doing, and I can see that you're doing it, but I like that you're doing it.
That's being sold to. Even when you know someone's selling to you, it's a good feeling. You're like, I know what you're doing. I know you're using this, you're using that, but you're doing it well. So it's like
you're doing
it's
it,
commendable. So it's like
you're doing it well.
And the people that are calling sales directors and using it, if you're good, you're good. Like, it doesn't matter. There's no like magic trick where you're like, but I know what you're doing. If you're good, you're good. It's just it feels natural.
Yeah. And this is it. So for me, like if anybody ever wants to work for us, it's just a case of dropping me a note on LinkedIn, just say yourself into me. And I imagine for you guys, then that entire process is the same. Right, it's just like
you're in the sales game. Like if somebody reached out to you and was like, "Oh, hey, I want to be part of this. This looks great." you're going to listen to that conversation a lot more than you're not going to be like, yeah, that's fine, we're not hiring at the minute, and when we are, just keep an eye on our website and apply through our careers page. Because if you do, then like that's a wanky move. Shit, we should probably do that. Yeah.
Jamie Payme did it, didn't he? Rang us.
Jamie Payme.
Jamie Payme, Rohit. Partner.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. He rang.
Jamie
Rang you first, and then he rang me. It's like that's we speak about cold call. Well, a girl that we interviewed the other day, my phone, like I got a CV through from a recruiter, and I was like, oh cool, yeah, we'll get her in. Bang, the phone goes. I've been sent the CV, blah blah blah. Like, I want to come in and meet you guys. Like, we were like, yeah, that's a bit more.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Give it a bit of that.
We did it with Liam, right? And to be fair, he got a tough time because he was probably I think was he the first guy that we did it to.
Yeah.
Because my whole thing is right, getting around gatekeepers is the biggest struggle for a lot of salespeople, right? And it's about trying to just diffuse whatever that situation is. So I saw his CV, spoke to him, had a chat with him. I was like, right, okay, I like you, but I want to see if you can actually do the job. The next stage of this process is call in and get through to me. That's it. That's all you got to do. Call in and get through to me. Once you get through to me, then we'll have another conversation. If you can't get through to me, tough shit, bro. This is just not happening. And bless him, he called about 3 or 4 times to the point where I started to feel bad. I was like, I don't want this guy to think I'm not interested. But I kept being busy whenever he called. So whenever he called,
but then it got to a point where Christine, he was like, Christine, look, it's Liam. This is the crack, right? I've got to get through to him, otherwise I can't go through to the next stage. Can you please just put me through? No, and put the phone down. And we were like, Christine, let him fucking through next time. And then in the end, he was like, he emailed him and was like, look, bro, I've tried getting through to you like 8 times, and like to the point now where your team is just going no and put the phone down. If it's a no, just tell me it's a no. Like, don't make me do this.
This
is embarrassing.
Like, no, honestly, man, I was like, you're catching me at the wrong times, and I was like, it's a bit shitty, but like, I will speak to you. Yeah, but
one more time. No. Sorry, just once more. I promise.
All gathered around the phone.
But fair play to him. Do you know what? The guy showed a load of resilience and a load of grit about it, and he just kept phoning. To the point where when I got through to him, he was like, when he got through to me, he was like, do you know what? I was going to lie. I was just going to call him and be like, yeah, no, it's his brother. I need to speak to him. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, okay, that probably would have worked, to be fair.
Yeah, it's like the Benjamin one, isn't it? It's like, it's about my wife.
I was talking to my wife about you.
Yeah. My wife told me I should. Yeah, you fucking wanker.
Yeah, that's one of those things where it's very edgy, isn't it, in terms of how that would land? Because
I'd laugh about it, but then also be like, this person on the phone is a clown, and I'm absolutely not entrusting this person with like the sale of like what it might be something important, right? Like a new CRM. I'd be immediately thinking, ha, that was really funny. You've got me on the call. However, I also think you're a clown.
Yeah, Benjamin is such a clever bloke with such a unique personality. Like, that works for him.
Yeah,
when he gets through, he can think on his feet. He knows, whatever you say, I'm going to be able to deal with it.
Give you the right sort of answer, almost like a politician. Like, like really knows his way around the words and stuff. Yeah.
If you're not like that and you're a bit meek and mild and easily bullied, you probably shouldn't be going in with that as your approach.
No, I mean, I saw a live calling session that he did once where he called through, and what was his thing?
Was this the who's good looking and hangs up?
No, that was some idiot. But there was a thing that he did where he was like, I can't remember what it was. Something to do with, I've got a message to call this person back, and like,
will you know what it's regarding?
Yeah, and he was like, he goes, I don't know. I've just got a note on my desk that says call me back, and he ended up getting through to the prospect, and he was like, look, it's a sales call. And she was like, do you know what? You've just wasted about 10 minutes of my team's time, to the point where it's like, you've disrupted our entire day, and now we're here and you're trying to sell something to me. And he's like, well, can I have my 30 seconds? And she was like, well, yeah. But she was already pissed off by that point. So I think sometimes you've got to, like, there's almost a very fine line between kind of being quite edgy versus just pissing people off. Mm-hmm. Like doing the...
Yeah, but when we started and we had like mobile phones, like no mobile numbers to call, whatever, and it was just pure gatekeepers, we'd do it, and we got the, you told mine and myself that we had a fucking meeting, we don't have a really going in on me. It says, it sounds like you've had a bad day, all of that. Bang, 10 minutes later, they agreed to jump on a call.
That's the issue, and it's diffusing it.
Yeah, it's diffusing it, and they become a client. So it's like, you can, but it's like if you go into that situation and then you're arrogant and it's like, well, yeah, it is a sales call, blah blah.
What are we
blah,
gonna do about it?
It's like
that's it.
Like it's
Yeah,
kind of
what's
like,
good looking hangs up though.
you've got to like diffuse
No,
it.
but
like,
it's the same. It's a complaint handler's mentality. Right? We used to do a lot of training, and we're ex banking, believe it or not. And we'd had like
What did you say? Banking? With a big?
Yeah, with a big. Yeah.
Oh,
with a
sorry.
big.
No,
Just
this
for
is what we did
clarity.
earlier.
Yeah.
We relax ourselves into it.
And it's the whole complaint
Share our
handler thing.
energies.
Yeah. It's like, let them have their piece. Let them say their thing. Acknowledge it. Don't justify it. Don't validate it.
Yeah.
But acknowledge why they're. I get why you're annoyed. No, I completely get it. Right? But we're here now. So we're going to carry on this conversation, or you're going to hang up because you've had your rant. Oh, you said you got a fucking meeting. Blah blah. Yeah, it's the name of our business. Like, I haven't lied, but look, I get why you're annoyed. Are we
It's
now
the
going to
empathy
talk
piece,
about
which
what
is
we're moving on?
okay,
Yeah, or not? Because if we're not, then fine. For whatever.
Do you know
I'm going to call you again
But
next
if you're in
week.
the middle of that
But
and
listen
you-
out for
you try and
we have a
pitch.
meeting because
That's where it goes
Can you
wrong.
imagine?
We had a-
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but do you want to buy my shit? Do you know how complaint? Do you know how
give them the
complaint?
yeah. You're going to buy or not?
The complaint handlers have got this new thing, right, where they just totally fucking take like they take all the wind out of your sails, and they ask a really simple question, which is, how would you like this to be resolved? That for me is such a great question.
Well, we could use that in sales, though, right? So if you've come through to me and I'm fucking kicking off, like, you wasted my fucking day, blah blah blah. Just flip it, and you're asking that question would like, all right, what are we doing next then?
Yeah.
Well, you're through to me now. You might as well tell me, because the peak and the intrigue still peaked. Like, I still want to know. Well, okay, I'm annoyed at the fact that you've said we have a meeting and you've managed to get through to me and whatever, or you've tricked my gatekeeper and now I'm on the phone to you and I never take sales calls.
Yeah.
But you are also on the phone to me now, and I do also kind of want to know what you're talking about because I am human and I do have a inquisitive nature. So
we always go for like Chris Voss, like label it straight away, like and really drop the voice down. So if they're up there, we drop it right down and say
FM
like,
DJ voice.
late night FM DJ. Sounds like this is really frustrating. Sounds like it's happening a lot. Sounds like you're getting a load of these. Like, feels like you're having a tough time. All that kind of stuff, and then suddenly someone's reasonable brain kicks back in. It's like, well, all right. Well, what's it about then? And you're like, well, look, I'll only take 30 seconds. If you're not interested, then I'll never bother you again. Does that sound fair? And
Until
then,
next week.
Until next week. But even that's a good point, right? Because I had a client of ours. I rang someone up and he said, I'd never use you guys ever. Right, really pissed off that I'd even bothered to call him. He ended up back on the list the next week, rang him with the same approach, but he was in a totally different state of mind, different week, and he was struggling. And he was like, actually, I might look at this. Could you come in? But as soon as he was ringing, I thought, oh shit, I rang this guy last week.
Oh,
Totally different. And I always use that as a message to all guys. I've got both calls of this is how different it can be. And this guy probably, his cat got run over or found out his wife was having an affair or something, and then he's taken it out on me.
Yeah.
And next week he's been on Tinder, he's got over it.
Which ties in nicely to kind of the psychology piece that you guys are really pushing in your content, right? Which is like there's so much more behind it than just using a script.
Yeah.
And that's where the scripted kind of sales methodology just falls on its ass, because if all you're doing is going, hi, this is Sean, I'm calling from ABC. It says here, and then
it's the Phoebe Buffet thing, isn't it? It's like, wow, I'm going to kill myself. And like, oh fuck, what do I do? Like,
and it's a flowchart kind of piece. And I think Chris Voss mentioned it in his book as well about kind of getting that yes-based script where it's like, would you think your life is infinitely better if you have more water in your life? And it's just like, okay, I can, but I just want to say no. That's all I want to do is I want to say no at this point. And it's giving them the option to do that, right?
Yeah.
Negative framing, we love it, but like I think the way we see it is it's like you see this debate of script versus structure, or both. Like really, like our calls, if you listen to like if it was dialing for we have a meeting, the first 40 seconds depend if the prospect sticks to the script and says their lines right, sounds the same. Once you're into it, bang, it's like, well, it could go anywhere. Well, actually, like you said, it's quite a linear process of what's the problem? What does that problem look like? What's the impact? And that's where the structure is like, well, you might throw me off and you might start talking to me about your CRM, but I'm going to come back to this point here. and we're going to talk about the problem and really delve deep into that, and then we'll move you down the funnel.
Because you pinned it and then signposted it and used our synergies to
all the
circle back to it.
circle back,
baby.
You did something really interesting in one of the I think it might have been the first LinkedIn Live. Do you know the one where Benjamin called and then they were like, oh my god, it's Benjamin Denny. But you did something in that one which was really cool, and I think it would work if you're in a market where you're selling to salespeople, which is like, look, I'm a buyer too. Sell me your shit. Like, you tell me what you selling. Let me make your day better. And that totally caught her off guard because she was like, and then she just started fucking verbal diarrhea just to the whole.
And then you're like, oh, is this how you sell?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But that's
You
a
need my
pattern,
training course.
that's a pattern interrupted in itself, because she's like, what's like it's like the Darren Brown stuff. Sometimes you watch Darren Brown and people find themselves doing something. They're like, why the fuck am I doing that? How did somebody get a cold call? Next thing you know, she's selling her stuff. It's like, it doesn't matter. But like that guy going into the shop and saying, well, can I have a discount?
Yeah.
If you ask the question, you don't know what's going to happen. So it's
that's it.
just do it anyway.
You know, my brother said once, right, we're all from Blackpool, so it's like a bit of a rough night out. My brother said once someone tried to mug him outside a kebab shop and he just pulled his pants down. That's a pattern interrupt, isn't it?
And then what happened?
Nothing. The bloke just was like, didn't know what to do. And then
You're
just
gonna run
walked
away,
off.
aren't you? Like,
He didn't. He said he just walked off as well. Like as if he was embarrassed to be seen with him. Like, you're about to mug me. What are you on about?
It's like, we're talking about vines here. Remember that vine? It was like Chinese bloke getting into a fight, and he rips his top off and whips his fucking joggers off. He's like butt naked, and the guy's like, "Fuck this!" and legs it. It's the same thing, isn't it? Like,
Was it that?
no one's
was
a
that
fighting
Jackass
naked
thing?
man.
No.
That was Jackass, wasn't it? Was it Party Boy or something like that? When he just
That
started.
boy just strip off, innit? Yeah.
But to be fair, though, that's in what was that Marvel film Shang-Chi, when she just starts singing Hotel California. Anytime she gets into some sort of confrontation, she just starts belting out Hotel California.
Yeah.
Same sort of thing. And I think it's that bit there, isn't it, where people are scared of like, oh, but no, the convention is if somebody says put them up, I got to go fisticuffs with them. Whereas actually, pull your pants down.
Yeah.
Be creative, go against the
creative.
norm. And that's what so many companies fail to do. And it's like, oh, you're just a carbon cut out of every other company. You've seen them do it like this way, so we've got to be like that. And
What I'm hearing is you guys are advocating sending dick pics to prospects.
So what did you say then?
Sorry?
Prospects. Yeah, definitely. Deck pics.
Dick pics. Yeah. It's like here's a dick pic. If you open it, then you see the picture at the bottom.
Yeah. Oh, new email campaign.
I like it.
Dick pic. Subject. Yeah.
Deck pics,
Yeah. Very good.
Don't open this deck pic.
Yeah. There you go.
It can
Sent
just
to you
be
via
thighs.
AI.
It can be thighs. Print the PDF out and just have it in like thighs, but just there. Like,
Yeah. Very. Keep turning.
Yeah, but you got to be really clickbait about it. Like the size of this will shock you.
Really help you with your growth strategy.
There we go.
See, now we're thinking outside the box. This is called synergies, right? This is.
Would you open those emails?
I mean, there's a level of interest.
No, we got like, bless her. She works on the engineering desk, and all the time she gets dick pics sent through. All the time, and every time she's like, "Got another one," and everyone else.
true?
Yeah.
With LinkedIn.
No, on her
LinkedIn,
emails.
Facebook, emails,
all the time, and I'm not even ashamed. Every time she'd be like, "Oh, not another one." I'm like, "Show me, I want to see." Like,
She may as well set up
no
an
interest.
auto
I'm just
forward
like,
to
yes. I'm just like, "Oh yeah, that's so weird. Why would you do that?"
Stick it in
People
the
that she's
CRM.
placed in roles. What's the?
Yeah.
who
So
are they?
these are candidates
These
who
are
she's
candidates,
approached,
yeah.
or one of them was
So
somebody
it's an
who's
industrial
placed-
division, right?
Yeah.
And we're talking sort of like warehouse, forklift
forklift
drivers.
drivers,
And what will end up happening is they'll see the signature and be like, "Oh, she's a bit tidy," and then they'll just send dick pics.
Yeah.
And then one of them is like relentlessly messaging her with like, "Listen, we need to go out so I can slam you." Really, I'm just like, and it's
Wow.
word for word. That's
What
like,
old romantic, eh?
yeah, I mean, it's Shakespeare. That is, yes.
And we're just
Beautiful.
like, this is like, but I can't help it. Every time I'm like, let me see. Midway through doing something, I'm like, she's like, oh, another one. Let me see. Like, I'll have a look.
Pattern disrupt.
Yeah.
Is there any data for that industry, like anything that you've gathered that 100% of men that work in that industry?
Shave bushes.
Yeah, something like that.
Or
Probably not.
That's
Like,
right. I want you to do an
YouTube
audit
appropriate.
later and get back to us.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to know the answers to that one.
Probably not. Yeah.
Are you asking him to just send them?
Can you just go
I'll have to
through
go
that
back
and just-
through and have a look.
Yeah,
through the
do some
data
more
and find out
research.
what's going on?
Right, guys, we need to wrap up. We've gone over the hour mark, but yeah, we should probably wrap up. Any closing thoughts?
Well, we normally have a question that we. Well, Nathan's prompting us to ask his.
A
pattern disrupt question.
Nathan's like, you guys, like, the podcast just ends abruptly every time. It's like, right, well, cheers for coming in, guys. Like, it's all right, mate. And he's like, you got to start wrapping up properly.
We're going to ask this question one by one, though, right? So don't stretch out your answer, Jack.
Yeah. That's me.
If you weren't part of WHAM, not the group, the sales business.
Okay.
Yeah. What would you be doing?
Not part of WHAM.
And we're talking like get rid of the operation stuff, the experience that you had.
Yeah. What?
Oh wow.
In an alternative universe, what's Ben doing?
I'm gonna say
superhero. Definitely superhero.
Accountant.
No. I'm gonna say drummer.
Semi-pro.
Drummer?
Because
like, as in like drummer for the army type stuff, or
No.
Well, why is that where you go? Like drummer boy. No, like fucking drummer of a band.
Yeah, I mean, but that's like I want to be a rock and roller, isn't it? Drummer boy in the army, that would be a different type of like career path.
I don't think that's my vibe.
You look good in a uniform.
Yeah, I'll be bad. This is all part of that sharing energies thing, isn't it? Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you could be a drummer in a rock band, right?
Yes.
So are you look on the rock and roll side?
A little bit, yeah.
Ben used to be very rock and roll back in
He used
the
to have a
day.
big Mohican.
Did you?
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah.
Pixar, it didn't happen.
Well,
Have you got a picture?
Yeah.
We'll show you a picture in a
Yeah.
second.
Picture in a minute.
It's like people don't take me seriously with it.
Never get hired.
What colour was it?
various blue, red,
In
pink,
one go, or just over different stages?
blue and red in one go.
Nice.
Various colours.
And do you play the drums then?
Yeah. But then I haven't for a long time. But
Because you got booed out of the band.
yeah. No. But we used to play together, didn't we?
And we used to be in a band together.
Did you?
Oh, right.
But then, yeah.
I'm going to put it out there. You guys can't choose. I would be in a band either. Because
Sorry.
Was that the answer?
No, I was going to say a TV detective.
TV.
What would you call yourself?
the TV didn't.
Clum down.
Clumb down with me. Yeah, I feel like a team because I like all that looking for clues kind of stuff, but I wouldn't be clever enough to be a real detective. I don't think. So maybe
Sherlock Brimstone.
Sherlock Brimstone, yeah.
So what would your specialist area be?
I feel like
whatever the cast me as.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, murder mysteries, people having affairs.
1 minute I'm on
whatever
CIS.
time.
Next minute I'm
So
stuck
hang
in
on,
an
because we're
escape
talking
room.
about two different things here. We're talking about PI or like a detective.
What's it?
Yeah, private investigator.
Yeah, I'll be a PI.
Yeah.
Basically, just
In a tree.
down in corners. Just a pair of binoculars.
it's in a tree with
Little
his
monitor.
back on.
Yeah.
So pervert.
I'll be a hired scripted
In an alternative
character.
universe, I'm a pervert.
Yeah, sending dick pics to recruiters who recruit in the industrial sector.
What's your email again?
Go on then, Zach.
What can't I have?
Well, you can't
You
have
can't be in a
PI,
band
a
again. Well,
pedo.
yeah, I suppose you could.
I can't be a pedo.
Or
Peter Investigator, and
or you can't be in a band.
Oh, can I be a producer or not?
No, Nathan's that.
Of what?
Oh, Fuck. I'd probably just be on the dole then.
Yeah.
I'd just be a dole.
Go around mugging people in Blackpool.
Just go around
Get your pants down.
Show your dick!
get down.
Pant thief.
I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, the notorious Blackpool pant thief.
It's on the KTB. Searching for the pant thief.
Wow, we all meet.
yeah.
We're all together.
I'm just in the corner somewhere.
Fucking massive Mohican.
Yeah, so basically,
Army
Zach tries to mug Ben's pants, and he hires then Jack to investigate who he is.
Wow. And then we get together and we say,
Yeah, we should start a sales business.
unbelievable.
Beautiful. What a story.
Perfect. Right. Well, look, appreciate that, guys. Thanks very
Pleasure.
much
Thank you very
for
much.
taking the time
Thanks
to
for joining today.
come all
Appreciate
pen
it.
down, I guess, because like, who came from Bournemouth?
He came from Bournemouth. We came from the north.
The North.
The north.
Yeah, King of the North.
There you go. No, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Beautiful.